لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد الصادق الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. My brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to our session. We have a lot of questions. Alhamdulillah, we're getting interaction from the brothers and from the sisters. This is the one to continue with the rest, inshallah. It's not the number of questions we covered, how much we interact with one another and share with one another, that's more important. But we give priority to the sisters, inshallah. And we want them to be also involved with all these discussions. The idea is that we should understand what are these questions and why they're asking them and how to answer them. There's not only one way to answer. There may be other ways to answer them better than our way. I'm just giving you the way that we're using that we found to be effective. But subhanallah, maybe from your experience with dealing with the Muslim, you may have a better answer than I have. There's no problem. I accept there are many other ways to answer the questions. But at least you have something to start with is better than nothing. Okay? So whatever answers we're giving you, you can use it initially for your dawah activities. But if you discover other answers which are better, forget my answer. Use your own answer which is better. You want to achieve the goal. As long as the answer is correct, Sharia-wise, it is valid, there's no problem. I have no problem with that. It's just we need to have hikmah, wisdom in da'wah. So maybe the way I answer it may be not suitable for some people. Maybe you'll find a better answer. It's no problem. But at least you have some guidelines. You have some idea how to answer the question. Don't stand there, I don't know how to answer this question. Or you make a fool of yourself. Or you don't know anything. So they lose confidence. The most important thing in da'wah, when you do, you should show knowledge and confidence. You should show you're confident about your answers. You should speak with knowledge. Show knowledge, you're confident, you know what you're talking about. This creates trust. So if they see you're doubting, you're not sure, then they say, he's not sure. How can I listen to him when he's not sure about himself? So you have to have this knowledge and ability to answer. And inshallah, with Allah's help, you may succeed. Because in the end, it's not us who guide, it's Allah. We're just using this as a tool of da'wah. So answering questions is part of the tool in the mosque. It's part of the ATMT. Maybe it's in the mosque, maybe outside, you meet somebody, ask you a question, for some reason there's a discussion, you know how to answer them. It will help you in any situation. So let's continue, inshallah. So we reached number 3, we finished number 4. Number 4 is similar to 3 in some respects, but let us just cover briefly. Why do some Muslim women cover their faces? Why do you think they're asking this question? Always ask yourself, why that person is asking me this specific question? What is the reason? What is the reason? Why do you think a non-Muslim would ask you, why some women are covering their faces?
Because he is seeing some women who are covering and some others who are not covering.
Excellent. That's the reason. As Ayuba said correctly, they see women covering and some not covering, so they don't understand. Why these people are covering, why others are not covering? So how can we explain this to them? We'll say that they will think that maybe those people covering are more obedient than the others, or they think maybe this is a culture, they think it's a cultural thing, it's a matter of culture. So how will you answer this question? Is it their culture? Is it because they are married or not married? So you have to understand the thing that maybe this one is married, that's why it's covering their face. That's not covering, she's not married, it's not the thing. Maybe this is the only cultural requirement. It's not an Islamic requirement. What do we say? What do we answer them?
This is something that scholars of Islam are have different point of view about it. So those who are following scholars who think that covering the face is obligatory are covering their faces, but even those who are not women who are not seeing that covering face is obligatory many of them are also covering their face, doing as the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him, because they love them, so they are wearing like them.
Following the example, excellent, good answer, very good. Yeah. Can you share the mic, please?
but also we have to try to say that the difference of opinions of ulama in Islam is a positive thing. It is a positive thing, not something that they can say why ulama say that it's obligatory, others is not.
So this اختلاف العلماء رحمة, and it's a mercy that there is options. You have options. When the scholars differ, but not in terms of sectarian differences. There's difference of opinions, of interpretation.
We have to say this message.
Yeah, it's a good point. Jazakallah khair. Yes, brother Rafiq.
Actually, we can point out the example of diamond. The more expensive, the more carats on a diamond, the more need to hide it from the eyes. You know, the more pretty a woman is, the more need to hide it from evil eyes.
He's a businessman, that's why. You can tell the way things, mashallah. Okay, there are many ways, but as I said, Islamically, the verse that deals with this from the Quran, you know, وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا. The verse is part of other completion, but this is the main point. وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا. They should not expose their ornaments except what is normally apparent. Now this is where the difference comes, what is normally apparent. According to the majority of the scholars, it's the face and the forearms. But some scholars, especially like in Saudi Arabia, they insist that what's normally apparent is she's wearing some earrings or necklace or ring or nothing, external jewelry. That's how they interpret it. So both are valid opinions. Linguistically and Sharia-wise, they're both valid. Now it's the woman to decide what she wants to go. Whatever she's convinced, she can cover if she wants. She doesn't want to cover, no problem. She has two options. But also you have cultural factors sometimes have an influence. Suppose you're living in Saudi Arabia and everybody is covered. You cannot expose. It cannot look okay and to expose. And we have certain cultures in the Muslim Arab world that the women normally cover. That is their norm in their culture. So there's no doubt that culture can play a role. But this is initially an Islamic ruling, injunction. So there are two options based on the difference of opinion among the scholars. And of course, the woman, she can choose what she wants. And as our brother Ayub has mentioned earlier, the Prophet ﷺ's wives were fully covered. Because their status is Ummahat al-Mu'mineen. They are considered mothers of the believers. And to be known, that is the special that they should cover completely. This was specially required for them. But other Muslim women say, we want to imitate the example of the mothers of the believers. Want to be like them. There's nothing wrong with that. If she wants to imitate, that's no problem. Inshallah, she gets ajr for that. Because they're the best examples for the women to follow. So this is normal and it's acceptable, there's no problem. But the issue is that Western women, people or non-Muslim, they think there's a difference of status in terms of who is covering or not covering, because maybe they are married or not married, or this culture is different from this culture. No, this is the issue. Now, the other point is that you have to tell them that, this hijab or the dressing, this is all in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there's no compulsion, and there's nobody forcing them to cover. Now, if any woman goes abroad in public and she's putting makeup or some, decoration, she has to cover anyway. Even though she believes normally she should not cover. But if she's wearing makeup in public, she should cover. Normally this is required. But if she wants to go without covering, she shouldn't put makeup on when she goes in public or in front of non-mahram men. She should not cover. If she doesn't want to cover her face, she should not put makeup. This is agreed by all the scholars. So you can explain this point. If a woman she wants to cover, if she's putting makeup, she normally she should cover. She doesn't put makeup, she doesn't have to cover. It's optional. Wallahu a'lam. Naam, tafadhal. Yes, brother Muhtar. We'll get the mic first here. Yes.
There is some non-Muslim give me example about Iran, about the shit in Iran. For example, in Iran they make a cover head, hijab shar'i, and they know what they do. You understand me? How? And they ask me how they make a cover head like this, and they make niqab too, and they do this shame and something like this. So really, I can't answer them because.
You mean that they're doing muta marriage or they're doing prostitution? What exactly? Be specific. What you're meaning by what they
so they talk about زوج المتعة.
Muta marriage. Okay. See, the hijab and the niqab, they are meant to protect the woman from being looked at by other men, which could lead to temptations. The whole purpose of hijab for men and women is to promote morality and virtue in society. Because Allah wants to keep the society clean. It's against promoting indecency and immorality, which could result because of attracting the opposite sexes. We are humans, of course. But if somebody misuses this requirement, some people are fully covered and then they do bad things, that shows that they're not really sincere in the application of this rule. That hijab is just, for them, just something that has no meaning. It loses the purpose of the hijab. Because if they really fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they're wearing this, they should not behave in the way that's actually meant to avoid. So this is a mistake of those people, because their beliefs are actually the wrong way. They have not proper aqidah. So the aqidah is a problem with their belief. So that you can say that person's belief is weak. That's because of their weak faith. But if they are good Muslim, they would not do that. You could mention that.
Yes, and I find a lot of problem from the Shia, when they ask me and when they make المقارنة, comparison, فهمتني. And I find a lot of problem about this question and
so
how I
answer. What's the
answer.
Shias? What's the difference between Sunnis and Shiites?
Yes, this is another. They know a little bit about the Aqidah for Sunni and Shiite, and they, for example, when you talk to the Christian, so he pray for three. Three God. But if you tell him about Islam and you speaking with him, he think he pray to three, then he will pray to 12. You understand me?
Okay. We'll be discussing about this difference between the Sunni and the Shiites later on. We have that question here. Inshallah, we'll cover it later on. But one of the ways you have to clarify is that the Shiites, it's actually a deviant sect. You can tell that there's a lot of innovations in Shiism, which is totally contradicting what the majority of the Muslims, they follow. So you have to explain to them what is Islam, then explain that certain practices in Shiism are contradicting what Islam stands for. That you can give in brief,
And Sheikh, I say this, and to read the Quran and to know the son of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the last messenger of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, تركت فيكم ما أنت مسكتم به لن تضلوا به بعد أبدا كتاب الله وسنتي. He don't say وشيعتي. You understand it? So, and this he didn't.
It's a good point. Inshallah, we'll discuss this in detail when we come to that question. Now, if there are any other issues regarding women covering themselves or wearing niqab, yes, Rafiq.
Sometimes with non-believers, you get to bring scientific facts. They love that. So they won't believe religious facts, but it's been proven. It's been proven that the woman's skin is more fragile to sun exposure. So there's a higher risk of getting skin cancer. That's one of the points behind, scientific fact behind having the woman covering their faces. If you want to talk about scientific facts,
Okay, there is, of course, sometimes it's good to use scientific, but you have to be sure, because sometimes these facts are not concrete. Maybe it will change after some years and say, no, it's not true, there's something else. So sometimes they'll say this is good for your health, then after say this is not good for your health, Be careful, when you use scientific facts, be 100% sure that this is correct. It's not just a theory, it's a fact. Because basically we know that this is not the reason why women are wearing hijab, not because of the sun or the exposure, because of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's commands. But they were trying to find a logical way to prove to them, as I said, using some way to convince them, because they don't understand the religious point of view. They don't have faith in Allah, they don't believe in the akhirah, they don't believe in the unseen, they only believe what they see. But actually, as I said, there could be more than one way to answer a question. You have to use different approaches according to the person in charge. I'm not getting any feedback from the sister. This is something that concerns the ladies. We need to hear the sisters' viewpoints. Walaikum salam, sister.
I want to give
Yes.
my personal experience with the niqab. So I am so allergic to dust. So since I wear the niqab, my health improved very well. So dust doesn't.
You can speak louder, please, sister. The sound has disappeared.
That's also my experience with the niqab.
Okay.
Is that my allergic? I became less allergic.
Okay. You don't get any more problems with allergy to dust and other things. See, there's
No more
benefits. That's a good point. That's a good point. What about in terms of people looking at you or having any problem with men? Any other ways you could mention any experiences in this way? You feel free to move around without being noticed?
Yes, of course. I feel very free. There is no. They don't.
Yes. Okay. So you don't get harassed or disturbed, yes. Alhamdulillah. This is the main purpose of the hijab. You see, from practical experience, the women feel free to move. She can go around, do her business unnoticed. So this is the basic thing. So there is always hikmah in whatever Allah commands us to do. Sometimes we realize the hikmah, sometimes we don't know the hikmah behind it. But there is hikmah in everything. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows what's good for us. So as a Muslim, we should submit to Allah without question. We don't question why this, why that. But because of dealing with non-Muslims, they don't have the same mentality like we have, where we make istislam to Allah. Because we realize it's the most wise and the most just, and whatever commands is good. But for them, they have to think, this, why, that. You can give them an example, like also when you go to a doctor, you are sick, and he tells you, a specialist doctor, you should avoid eating meat or certain kind of foods. Don't you follow that blindly without questioning why? Of course, you trust he's a doctor, he knows what's good for me. You have a sickness, so you must not eat meat, or you should not take sugar, you should not take this, it's bad for your health. Will you question why? No, because he knows, he trusts the doctor. What about if Allah is the greatest of all? He's the most wise, most knowing, most powerful, most wise. So it's like, especially if somebody gives you special advice, he's a doctor, is trustworthy, don't question why. But as I said, still we need to give examples. This is why we're trying to explain to them to understand. And you do our best, that's in Allah's hands for their guidance. Now another common question which always comes, which I felt with non-Muslims, especially women who ask this one. Why can a man marry 4 wives, whereas a woman can only marry 1? So, if they ask this question, what do you think is in their minds? Why are they asking this question?
Legality. There is no.
I'm sorry?
There is no legality in Islam.
There's no equality. Equality, that's right. There's no equality. Okay? Any other reasons why they'll be asking this question? What do they think of Muslims? Yeah, we are pleasure seekers. We are lustful people. We call that immoral, in our behavior. This is what they think of us. Basically, this is like they have harems of women. This is all from these movies, Hollywood movies, They portray Arabs almost in a very bad form, Exactly, we treat women like slaves or sex objects. That's what they think. But is it only in Islam that polygamy is allowed?
No.
What about other religions? What about in Christianity? Can we give examples where prophets from the Old Testament and New Testament, or prophets before who had more than 1 wife? King David. How many wives he had? No, 99. King David, 99.
King Solomon, 700.
King Solomon, 700 wives and 300 mulkami, so 1,000 total. What about Jacob? Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam. How many wives? 2 wives plus 2 mulkami, that means 4 wives. Ibrahim alayhi salam. How many wives?
2.
Actually they say 3 in the Bible. We know 2, but they say 3. They said Sarah, Hagar and Keturah, 3 wives. So you see, if their prophets can have so many wives, what's the problem for a Muslim to have 4 wives? This is one thing. Second thing, what about the Hindus? in the Hindu beliefs, do they have a limit?
Woman marry with when she marry with a man, she take his brothers.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
Yeah, they have the same doing that.
It's affirmation.
They're sharing one wife.
Yeah, they share with. So the property won't spread away.
Yes. When she married with a man, she married with his brother too.
Okay, this is in some states because there's low population of females due to infanticide. They abort the female girls. As soon as they find out that she's a girl, they go to this ultrasound places, they check out. Once they know she's a female, they abort it. We will talk about this later on. Because of this fear, they don't want girls, they want boys. They think that they have to spend a lot of money to get this lady married. Because in India, it's the woman who pays the mahar to the boy. It's the opposite of Islam. So the parents of many daughters have a problem. They cannot afford to get their daughters married. If that worked for so many years and have to spend a lot of money to get a boy to marry their daughter. So this is a problem in the societies. Similar to the time of Quraysh, they used to marry the girls alive, the baby girls alive. Now we have to explain one thing here. See, this is actually not a must. They think that we have to marry, every man has to marry 4 wives. Not true. It is a permission. It is allowed, mubah. It's not that everybody needs to marry more than 1 wife. In fact, even in the Jewish religion, when I say this, there's no limit. And in the Christian religion, there's no limit in the Bible. There's no limit in the Bible that says you should marry up to a certain number. So Islam, when it came, the final revelation came, Allah just made a regulation to limit the abuse. Because in the old times, there was no limit. People could marry hundreds and thousands of wives. According to the Hindus, Krishna, one of their gods, or one of their, like supposed to be one of their gods whom they worship, he had 16,108 wives. So in Hinduism, there's no limit. 16,000 women, okay? There's no problem. It was only limited by the Hindu Marriage Act of the government in 1954. That was when they made the act. It is passed by the government that the Hindu should only have 1 wife. This is by law of the government, not by the scriptures. In the Bible, same thing, there's no limit. In fact, it was the church that later on came up with this limit of 1 man, 1 wife. It's not in their scriptures. And we have also in the Jewish faith, it was only first limited by one Yehuda, one rabbi, it's called Yehuda, Gershom. He's the one who limited this limit of wives to 1 wife. This is in 906 to 1030 Christian calendar. But it was still, some Jewish communities were still doing the same thing. They were still marrying many wives until in 1950 the chief rabbi of the Jewish community in Israel passed an act or an edict that a Jewish person should not marry more than 1. That was in 1950, which is recently. So you had some communities living in our countries, they were called Sephardic Jews, they still practice polygamy. We call it polygyny. So when a man marries more than 1 wife, it's called polygyny. When a woman has more than 1 husband, it's called polyandry. They're 2 different terms. But polygamy is generally used because people understand it like a man having more than 1 wife. But technically, the term for a man marrying more than 1 wife is polygyny. And the term for a woman having more than 1 husband is polyandry. Okay. Yeah,
I don't understand this in English. You can translate it hardly.
Okay. Polyandry يكون أن الرجل أكثر من زوجة. تعدد الزوجات. أما العكس والمرأة تكون عندها أكثر من زوج هذا يسمونه polyandry. والرجل يكون عنده أكثر من زوج is polygyny. I'll write it for you if you want. Okay, we have polygamy.
Sorry, we are not seeing what you're.
I'm sorry. طيب. Polygamy is having more than one spouse. It's general for both. Polygamy is general. If the man has more than one spouse, or woman has more than one, they say polygamy. This is the general term. Polygyny, this one is a man has more than one wife. It's polygyny. When a man marries more than one wife, it's polygyny. When a woman has more than one husband, it's polyandry. The time of the Prophet ﷺ, there was a woman had 10 husbands. It's polyandry. And polygyny is a man has more than one wife. 4, 10, whatever, how many, more than one is polygyny. So this is what people normally say, polygamy, polygamy. Because people confuse, they don't know this, they say polygamy. They mean that a man has more than one wife. That's what they'll say, why do you practice polygamy? But actually it's polygyny. Technically, that's it. So basically, we have to explain to them that it's not only in Islam that people have more than one wife. It's been there in the Old Testament, many prophets, they practiced this. And Islam, when it came, the final revelation came to the Prophet, it actually came to regulate this matter. So Islam came to give proper conditions. It's the only scripture that mentions you have to be just and strict. If you marry more than one wife, marry 2 or 3 or 4. But if you fear that you not be just, then only one. You not find this in any revelation before the Quran. There was no limit, no condition. So Allah put this condition that any man who wants to marry more than one wife has to be strictly just in providing for their needs, being fair in terms of their time or providing for their needs and so forth. So you have to be strictly just with them. And this is not an easy thing. So it's a permission given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if somebody doesn't want to marry, there's no need to marry. You don't have to marry. So what could be a reason that a man wants to marry a second wife? What would you think would be a possible reason? Suppose somebody says, okay, why do you want to marry more than one wife? What would be a good reason to give? I'm not saying that everyone wants to marry more than one wife. Suppose they ask you, why would somebody want to marry a second wife?
First wife can't have children.
Cannot have? Maybe she cannot have children. Like the case of Ibrahim alayhi salam, his wife Sarah, she was barren for many years. He prayed to Allah to have a child. He got his firstborn when he was more than 86 years old. Okay? Not from his first wife, from his second wife, Hagar. It was Sarah who gave Hagar to Abraham to marry, because Hagar was working as a servant for Sarah. She was gifted by the king of Egypt to Sarah to help her. So she wanted Abraham to have kids, and she suggested him to marry Hagar. So maybe there's a need to have kids. Okay? What would be another need? Why people marry sometimes more than one?
The wife is sick.
The wife is very sick. You cannot blame her, something other. Maybe she cannot take care of her husband fully. So rather than divorcing your wife and you love your wife, you can marry a second wife and keep both wives and treat them equally. This is the solution. Suppose, yeah, father. Yes, sister, yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
If the man is going to marry the next wife, the first one is free to rescue him or to quit him.
To what?
If she wants that he divorces her.
Okay, there is actually a point that a woman, if she wants the husband not to practice polygamy and to be strictly practice monogamy, then she has to put a condition in the marriage contract, in the Aqd al-Nikah. You have to specify, the woman should say that if you marry me, you should not marry second wife. This is acceptable as a condition. So if the man accepts, then he has no right to marry a second wife. He forfeits that privilege or that option. Then she has a right to seek divorce if he goes against this condition. But if she does not specify this condition at the time of marriage, then the husband has the right to fully marry second wife if he wishes to. Because she did not specify in the marriage contract. So the woman has to specify this beforehand when she makes the marriage contract with her husband, and to make sure that he accepts that condition. That is acceptable, because this is his right, given to him by God as an option. But if he accepts to stick to the condition, then he loses that option.
Shaykh, if she forgets to put this thing and then she's forced to stay with him, even if he will marry another woman.
Okay, so if she did not specify she has no right to demand divorce because this is something she did not specify in the contract. So he has the option, but she can try to convince him. You have to be wise, use other ways to convince your husband not to marry a second wife. In a nice way, you have to, women have power over men, actually. They have a lot of influence over men. And you can convince him through logic, through some means, that, you know, you stick with me, no need to marry a second wife. What do you want? You mean, you know, you have to satisfy your husband's needs. So you have to see why he needs to marry. But technically, he has the right. Legally, Sharia-wise, he has the right, as long as he meets the condition. Now, suppose you forgot to mention that beforehand, it's too late now to go back to that.
And why she had to convince him?
Because maybe she's jealous. Women naturally are jealousy. They don't want their husbands to marry another. That's understandable. But the point is this. We have to understand that marriage is the legal way of having a relationship, an intimate relationship between man and woman. Now, if this man has a valid reason to marry, I think the sister should not object to that, unless there is a valid reason that he cannot be just. See, the only way you can object to him marrying second, if he cannot treat you justly with the second wife. Suppose his financial means is very poor, he can't afford it, he cannot maintain justice in his treatment, then you have a valid point. Because if he marries a second wife, he cannot treat you equally, then he's not allowed to do that. He has to be just between all of you. Now, as I say, maybe some women don't like this issue. This is possible. I'm not saying that human beings have feelings. But we cannot say it's wrong. It's right. What he's doing is legally right. It's not against the Islamic Sharia, as long as he maintains the condition. Of course, there's a serious issue of punishment for the man if he's unjust. If he has more than one wife, he's unjust, he'll be punished on the Day of Judgment by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So men have to be careful when they marry more than one wife. And of course it is wise that you don't create problems for yourself. See, in some communities, women accept polygamy or polygyny naturally, they don't mind. In some communities they don't accept. It's depending on the mentality of the people. So you have to know the mentality of your wife, how she is. You'll accept, not accept. Better to consult her before you do it, because you don't want to create another problem. Now, as far as I can know, is that today it's very, very difficult to have more than one wife. In fact, to marry the first wife is a very difficult challenge, let alone second wife. So not everybody can really afford to marry second wife, yes. Hope that addresses your question, sister. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Yes, sister.
Statistic says that in Tunisia we have the highest level of well-married women, so polygamy can be a solution for this problem.
This is the solution. Allow the men to marry more than one. Those who can afford to, they should marry more than one, because, see, sometimes you have many countries where women outnumber the men. Now, of course, I know the first wife, but you want to help your sister. You want your sister to stay unmarried for the rest of her life. See, some women have to understand that this is the solution for a problem. If every man marries only one woman, and there's a lot of women who outnumber the men, you'll have a lot of women without husbands for the rest of their life.
And to have more than one woman or wife, it's better to have many girlfriends.
Exactly. So the problem is that if men don't, if there is a danger that these women who don't have a chance to get married may go in the wrong way. This is possible. And they may wish to have a relationship with the man, but they cannot be married because he's already married. So what will happen? They may have a secret relationship which will be haram, which is committing sin. So rather than a woman becoming a mistress or a girlfriend, she's respected as a wife or second wife or third wife, whatever. She's treated equally, and the children are legitimate children of the husband and is responsible for them. But her becoming a mistress or girlfriend, he could walk out on her any time. She has no rights. She cannot demand anything from him. And the children will be in a very bad shape. There will be no one to look after them. So this is the reality. It's a problem. And not only in Tunisia, many countries we have a lot of women who are not married. So this can be a solution for this problem. But as I said, not anyone is qualified to marry more than one wife. There has to be justice. You have to be just and treat them equally. If you can't do it, then you have to stick to one. Yes.
Sheikh, I think all the reason the women, they don't accept it. if you talk to her about these reasons, like sick or something like this, then she talk to you about love. You understand me? What about love? What about faith? And talk to you like this. So
I understand what you're saying. See, this is natural. Women will be, of course, naturally they are jealous. We understand that, and Islam understands that. But we have to follow. What does Islam mean? Is Islam surrender to the will of Allah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said the man has the right. Okay? We cannot go and argue against one Allah. If we are Muslim, we have to accept it. This is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I know the women will feel maybe sometimes unhappy about this, but subhanallah, Allah knows best. As long as the man fulfills the conditions of just treatment, he can fulfill his duties equally, the woman should be ready to accept, because this is part of the Islam. We cannot deny this is from the Quran. Rasulullah, he had many wives. The Sahaba, some of them had many wives. Of course, there was a limit of 4, except for Rasulullah will mention afterwards what is the exception for him. But the thing is that this is a permission. It's mubah. It's not like encouraged. Islam does not encourage men to marry more than one wife. It just allows and permits if there is a need for it. Now, maybe in our society, some societies, you don't need to marry except one wife. But some societies, they need children to help with farm work, with hard job. They cannot have 1 or 2 kids. They want to have many kids. Now, one wife will have only 1 child maybe per year. Maybe he needs 10 kids to help him. Maybe 12 kids or to help with the job. So some families, in many African countries, they have to take care of farms, they need a lot of hands. So the only way is to have more than one wife, to have more children. Sometimes it's for political reasons, like we used to see before Britain and France, they're marrying from each to unite the countries politically, and German with Russia. So marriage can be a political way to establish political union and good relations. Like also married from certain tribes, like the Juwayriya from Bani Mustalik, to win them to Islam, and Safiya to win the Jews to Islam, and so forth. So somebody can have political motives behind it, to unite the people, to bring the people to be united, to make them unified. Especially Sulaiman, alayhi salam, he didn't marry this except because of the political agreements he made with the leaders of this tribe that he was having alliance with. They were to cement the deal with him. They offer their daughters to him in marriage to make sure that this is a confirmed deal. We have confirmed that we are now united. So this is like part of that system at that time. So I said there could be many reasons. And it depends on you. You have to think about it before you do it, because it's a permission given by Allah. If you can meet the criteria, it's fine. But I don't say, don't build another house at the expense of the older. Don't destroy your marriage. If it's going to lead to marriage, destroy the first marriage. I don't encourage that, of course. The essence is the first wife, the first home, you have to maintain it. So Islam is against divorce. It actually permits marriage, it's against divorce, but allows divorce in certain situations. So for the sisters, I encourage them to be understanding, to be patient. And if the husband wants to marry second, of course they have to discuss this and try to reach an understanding about this. But she should not prohibit him from what is halal so that he goes to what is haram. That is the worst situation. Because if you know that cannot marry legal, then you'll have secret relationships, secret mistresses, and that is very bad. So there has to be a solution, and Allah has given us the best solution, inshallah. So maybe they will accept, maybe they will not accept. But as I said, we have to be fair and just in our decisions. Yeah. Tafadhal.
I think that we didn't really answer the question. The question was why polygyny and not polyandry?
Yes.
Not,
okay, we covered one side. The second part is why women cannot have more than one husband, whereas men can have more than one wife. So what do you think? What is the reason for that? Yes.
If a child is born.
Yes, go ahead.
If a child is born, who is the father? If she's married to more than one man.
See, the thing is, if a man has more than one wife, it's easy to identify who is their father. It's very easy. There's no need to worry about it. But if she has many husbands, then it's difficult of finding who is the father, because there will be doubt. You don't, this is my child, but not my child. If there are 10 men, and she's one wife, there's a difficulty of identifying who is the real father of the child. of course, for many years, except recently now they have maybe DNA or some other thing they can verify. But in most of the previous time, how would you know he's the real father? So nobody wants to take care of somebody who's not his child. There's a problem there. Secondly, if you have 10 managers of a company, you have 10 CEOs, how would she cope? Everybody is different from the other. In your own department, you have 10 managers. Whom to listen to, whom not to listen to. It will be difficult for the woman to cope. So it's not natural, it's not the way. In many societies, you have a patriarchal system where you have the man is head of the family and the woman, she is the homemaker, and the children she takes care. This is the normal situation where the man is in charge. And most countries have men having more than one woman, but not the other way around. Few cases, like in India, you have this situation because of we mentioned the problem of lack of women being available for marriage, because they're killing a lot of infant children before they're aborted, before even they're born. So there's a problem in some states where you have men sharing wives. This is only in some cases in some states in India. Now, the issue is that if a woman also has more than one husband, she's more likely to contract sexually transmitted diseases. It's medically proven that if a woman has more than one partner at the same time, even though those partners don't have extramarital relationship, she is most likely to get sexual transmitted disease and to transfer it to her husbands. But the other way is not the case. If a man has more than one wife, it's not likely that she will get this disease. This is being proved scientifically. There is a problem with that. So even the woman psychologically, she cannot have the same feelings for all the men. It's difficult for her to have more than one partner. She does not have that ability to cope. Like a man can easily cope with so many wives. Okay? And she goes through certain periods in the month. She has that period, monthly cycle. She's not in a situation to cope with these demands. So certain times after childbirth, after the monthly cycle, she is psychologically affected. So we have to understand there's a difference in terms of physiological nature of the woman, psychological nature of the woman as compared to the man. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has permitted a man to have more than one wife up to a limit of 4, but has not permitted women to have more than one husband at the same time. If the woman is not happy with having a husband having more than one wife, she can divorce from that arrangement and she can marry another man. And if she has the option to go for divorce, if she's not happy, and she doesn't have to accept. Suppose she is offered by someone to be a second wife, she doesn't have to accept that. She can say, no, I don't want to be part of this arrangement. It's not a must that she has to accept the proposal for being second wife or third wife or fourth wife. She can say, I'm not interested in this arrangement. So she has the option. All parties have options. The first wife, she has the option that in the marriage contract she specifies that the husband does not marry second wife, otherwise she will be divorced. And the man, the woman who is being offered second marriage, she can refuse that arrangement. This is up to her. Yeah.
At the same time, the man can demand if she's sick or she can't have a child, في عوض باش يتزوج زوجة ثانية يقول زاد نمشيو للطلاق، يعني ما نخليوش ما نسبقوش الخايب قبل شو نعاوني فيكم.
Okay, what is saying? Just I think I got part of if the woman she cannot have children, that she allows you to marry second one. Is that what you're saying?
A second marriage, its solution is better than divorce.
Yeah, of course. See, the thing is that of course.
They keep the first wife.
Yeah, that is the best option because, of course, some men they don't mind if the wife she doesn't have kids. They're happy with that. They say, okay, no problem. I don't want children. Yeah. Yeah, speak up.
الزواج الثاني هو حل لمشكلة وقعت مع الزوجة الأولى. لو حتى بالقانون الوضعي الموجود في تونس مثلا نفترض في حالة الزوجة عندها 3 أولاد و15 سنة مثلا 10 أو 20 سنة، إذا مرضت الزواج الثاني باش يكون حل للمشكلة، مش باش يفرض عليا نطلق نعمل طلاق في الأولى. ولا مثلا أختنا اللي سألت قالت أنا في صورة ما يتوجه باش يتزوج الزوجة الثانية، هل من حقي نطلب الطلاق؟ إذا طلبته في بداية الزواج أو في عقد النكاح ينجم يقول مثلا أنت فرضت عليه باش ما يكونش الزواج هو حل لمشكلة، هو زاد باش يطلب مثلا يقول لك حتى إذا تمرض ولا إذا كان ما تلبتليش حاجة معينة أنا زاد باش نمشي للطلاق، يعني ما نخليهاش ما نمشيش مباشرة للطلاق كسلاح. الزواج الثاني هو كان حل المشكلة.
عفوا يعني
لا
See, normally marriage is a relationship that should be of mutual love and peace and tranquility. يعني ومن آياتي أن خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا ليسكن إليها وجعل بينهم مودة ورحمة. So how can there be love and mercy if there's no feeling for each other? There has to be love, there has to be understanding, there has to be caring, there has to be sharing. But sometimes there may be a situation whereby there's a need, and not every man should marry. It's option. It's an option that Allah gives if you need to use that option. And the woman, she should not put that condition beforehand because it may create a problem for her. Suppose she's sick, she cannot have kids, then the husband will be forced to divorce her because he wants to marry a second wife. But it's something that if she wants to protect her rights, she can protect that right if she wants to remain with only one husband. But then if she is unable to have children, then he will try to marry a second wife, demand that because he wants to divorce his first wife. It's a problem. It's a problem in the sense that putting this condition beforehand could be even against the interest of the first wife. So, as he said correctly, this is a solution for a problem. You don't have to use it if you don't have a problem. Only when you may need to marry second, because normally I don't think any man wants to take more responsibility. Because normally people don't marry because for pleasure. There is a need, I want to have kids, maybe the wife, she's very sick, maybe there's my relative died, there's orphans, I have to help them, humanitarian reasons, could be many reasons. Sometimes, women, they're studying abroad for many years and the husband is alone. And he cannot stay by himself, or he's going to study abroad for many years and she cannot come with him. So there could be a reason. So, as I said, we have to accept this as a solution to a problem. But we should not make this as a priority in our lives. So it's not that the man should make it a priority to marry more than one wife. No, it's just that there may be a situation whereby you need to have another wife. Or there's a need to have a reason to marry a second wife. So it depends on the situation. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His wisdom, He has given this permission to the men, but with strict conditions.
It's not a joke. الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول من لم يعدل بين نسائه أو من لم يعدل بين زوجاته جاء يوم القيامة وشقه مائل. يعني it's not a joke, but it's a solution.
It's a solution. It's a solution. So, as I said, the sisters don't have to worry about this because most men today cannot actually afford the first wife, let alone the second wife. Many of the young people are not married. Even young ladies are not married. We have the same problem in our countries. It is very hard to pay the mahar or the expenses of marriage because of our culture has become so difficult for us to afford even marrying the first wife, let alone the second wife. But if we're talking about generally speaking, it's a permission there, and people who can afford it, they can apply that. If there is no, if they can meet the condition, they have the right. This is their right given to them by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes.
About the question, why not polyandry? I don't know if it is acceptable to answer with that the fact that the nature of the woman, in the nature of the woman, she can't have in her heart more than one man. In general, the woman is like this. She has only one man in her heart. I don't know if it is acceptable to answer by her.
No, this is the psychology of the woman is different from the man's psychology. She can only handle one man at a time. She cannot have her split into so many, and normally it's like that. This is the correct answer. For a woman to have more than one husband, she'll be torn between different husbands. She'll not be able to focus her feelings on one person. So her nature is different from the man. But the man can cope with having more than one wife. He can cope and feel for all of them. Of course, there will be always one more favorite than other. This is normal. You may have a man loving one woman more than the other, but generally speaking, he'll treat them equally. That's possible. So as I said, this area of feeling and love is difficult to control, even for the man. And Allah said, وَلَن تَسْتَطِيعُوا أَن تَعْدِلُوا بَيْنَ النِّسَاءِ وَإِنْ حَرَصْتُمْ. It's difficult, but you have to make the material aspects, at least if you take care of the material aspects, then Allah will forgive the other aspect, which you may be loving one more than the other. This is possible, but as long as you treat them equally in the necessary things that you have to be just, then Allah will overlook the other part.
55 45 is more than 20 to 8.
So ولا تميلوا كل الميل فتذروها كالمعلقة. So you don't have to be totally, away, inclined away from her, so they leave her in a suspense, like she doesn't know she's married or not married. So this is what used to happen before.
And you can do 50-50 exactly.
See, as I said, it's between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to first evaluate your ability to do so. If you cannot, in the material aspects, to do this, don't even think about it, because it's very, very hard. See, emotionally it's difficult to do that. What about materially? So you have to think carefully before you do this. So I don't think there's any reason for the sisters to fear about this issue, because I know, generally speaking, most people cannot afford it. As far as I know, most people cannot manage more than one wife, or cannot afford to maintain more than one wife.
Salim.
Yes, sister.
There is a common question that non-Muslim ask out of misunderstanding. So how can we answer the question of non-Muslims about the big gap between the age of the Prophet ﷺ, who was 50, and Sayyidah Aisha, who was 9?
Yes, we have this question in the list of the questions. I think you're ahead of me. It will come, don't worry, it will come. I have this question included, but we will leave it for later, inshallah, because I've arranged this. I'm trying to do the easy ones first, so we can get momentum, and we'll do the more difficult ones later on, okay? I have that question in the list of questions. We'll cover it later, inshallah. Yes.
Sheikh, in the same context, how answer to the question, why did the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ marry 9 women?
That's also in the list. Okay, don't worry, we'll come to that. These questions are in the list. I will come, because I've arranged it in this way, so it's easy to you to get the feel of. But inshallah, we'll cover all these questions. If not tomorrow, if not today, maybe tomorrow there. But all these questions are in the list. So don't worry, I have included both those questions in the list, inshallah. Let's go to the next question now. Why is alcohol prohibited in Islam? If somebody asks you this question, what would you answer? Non-Muslim. Yeah, non-Muslim asking you, why is alcohol prohibited?
I don't think that it's a difficult question.
Yes. Can you use the mic, please?
A Muslim also, that's not, I think that it's not a difficult question that we can...
But it's a common question that they ask. Because
also Muslim, there is Muslim societies and Muslim persons who don't use alcohols, and and Muslims also say that alcohol is so bad for health and for.
Okay. Anybody wants to add to that? Why don't we drink alcohol? Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited us from drinking? Walaikum salam, sister.
I can answer this question by mentioning scientific facts about how alcohol affects our body. Yes. It actually disturbs the perfect balance that Allah creates in our mind and our body, especially. And also it can affect the whole community, not just the person. So you can actually harm many people in being when you are drunk. And when we see this alcoholic, and not just alcoholic, all kinds of drugs, and this is to be dependent on a chemical substance. It's so desperate and very. They are in a very desperate situation that they actually regret the first time that they even taste alcohol or any kind of drug.
Thank you, sister. Very, very good question. Very good answer and very good points. We'll inshallah get some of it, but then I'll give you my points. Yeah, further.
I think also the most distinguishing blessing that God gave to humans is the faculty of intellect. How you can choose to do such thing and not to do others, how you judge things, and when you drink, you lose that ability. And also another answer is that alcohol, we call it the mother al-khaba'ith. So when you are drunk, it's related to the first point, is that you lose your ability to think and to judge. So, for example, I remember a story that a decent guy was in a company with a very wealthy and beautiful woman. She asked him to have adultery with her, and he refused. But then she told him, at least have a drink with me. So he said, okay, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as the first one, because if he doesn't do neither the first one nor the other one, he will be killed. So he said, okay, just a cup, and then he went drunk, and then he committed everything. So it's the mother of all the bad things.
Very good answer. Yes, yes. To add some point. Okay, mashallah, good point. These are very good observations. Yes. Yeah. Yes, sister, تفضل. تفضل يا أختي.
Okay. So we can say that according to daily means, 40% of crimes and aggression are from alcohol. So we can use statistics as an argument.
That's a good point. Yeah, you can use link alcohol with crimes like domestic violence, raping, adultery, incest. So many crimes are caused because of drinking alcohol. This is a very good point. If you have the statistics, you can use that also, inshallah. Just brother Elias has something.
Concerning drinking alcohol in Islam, the question is different from getting drunk. It's related to having only one cup or one sip of alcohol or wine, because they always ask you this question. They say we hate getting drunk, and this is forbidden in our laws, like in Christians. But what about only drinking one cup?
Okay, this is another question. Okay. Okay. See, always you have to understand, you tell the non-Muslims, okay, Islam does not treat symptoms. It looks at the root causes of the problem. See, ما كان يسكر كثيره فقليله حرام. Islam treats the problem at the root of the cause. If you drink one cup today, tomorrow drink 2 cups, then slowly till you become an addict. Always all the drunkards started like this. They only had 1 or 2 drinks initially. Then slowly they became addicted, and then they became drunkards. So this is how it starts. So the solution is not just to drink 1 or 2. The solution is to stop from the very beginning. Don't drink in the first place. Okay? So this is answering his question that all this social drinkers, all this alcohol started as social drinkers initially, just drinking 1 or 2. Then later on it became more and more. So Islam tries to treat the problem at the root cause, not just treating a symptom. It's cutting at the very cause. So whatever is haram, you don't come close to, like Allah said, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا. It do not say commit zina, no. Do not come close. Say, do not come close. So anything that leads to zina should avoid it. You see? So this is the Islamic approach. The Islamic approach is to deal with the root cause of the problem, not the result, the end result. You start from the beginning. Prevention is better than cure. This is the Islamic way. Now.
One of the companions demand لماذا لم تشرب الخمرة يا عمر حتى في الجاهلية قال مذلة للرجل مضيعة للمال. By alcohol we lose our mind and money.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. See, you have one point, brother. Muhammad.
Adding to the
yes.
Adding to the statistics related to crimes.
Yes.
If alcohol is a good thing, why prohibiting it when driving cars, and the relation to number of accidents?
No, very good point. See, most of these points you have covered, mashallah. But the most important point was mentioned by Muhammad, which is Allah's given us a wonderful gift, the mind, the intellect. See, alcohol has the problem of befogging the mind. Once you lose your mind, khalas, you can do anything. Everything is possible. It's the best tool for shaitan to destroy man. The best tool. Here, al-Khaba'ith. Rasul is the mother of all evils. See, as I told the story, somebody was told to commit adultery, he refused, because his mind is there. He said, no, just drink something, alcohol. Then he lost his mind and he did everything. So it became a worse crime. See, we have to understand that Allah sent this Sharia for 5, this maqasid al-Sharia. One of this to protect the nafs and mind. Our mind has to be our deen, hifd al-nafs, hifd al-deen, hifd al-aql, hifd al-mal, al-nasl. See, these are the 5 maqasid al-Sharia. So that means that we have to understand that the mind is very important. All this takalif, all these duties we have to do, it's best that your mind should be working. If somebody is majnoon, there's no taklif on them. He cannot fast or pray because he doesn't know what he's doing. is mind. Somebody has a mind, he has to pray, he has to do this, because then he knows what he's doing. So the alcohol is one of the things that befogs the human mind, and you cannot reason properly, you cannot judge. That's when you become now liable to commit all these sins. That's why Allah prohibits in the first place. So not only alcohol, anything that intoxicates your mind, anything, whether it's alcohol, whether drugs, whether glue, whatever people they smoke, whatever, all these kind of things which affect your mind is prohibited. So it applies to all things that take away your mind, and then you become like an animal. You have no sense of judgment. Even animals have limits, they have instincts, but human beings can do everything. So you find a lot of crimes, as sisters mentioned, rape, incest, murder, road accidents. You have a lot of diseases caused by like cancer of the neck and the hair, the esophagus, liver, cirrhosis of the liver, so many cancers, so many problems, hypertension, stroke, and God knows, so many problems are caused by liquor. Besides, money is wasted. You're wasting your money, which you could spend on your family, on yourself, or other people, and it has a long list of crimes. And unfortunately, this is the only drug that is sold legally. And in most countries, they prohibit all drugs, except a few countries. But alcohol is allowed to be sold in most countries legally, which is selling death to the people. It's like destroying the community. So this is a sad reality, because they make a lot of money. Government make a lot of money by selling alcohol. They take taxes. But what is the side effect? It destroys the society. It promotes immorality. It promotes all kinds of evils. So Allah said it's rich. Rich min amal shaitan. Fajtanibu. We have to avoid, because it's rich. It's a handiwork of shaitan. It's one of the best tools that shaitan can use to destroy us as human beings, make us away from the path of Allah, away from dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal. So you can give all these reasons, but of course if you tell them, they will understand. Of course, there is the issue of human being having honor and respect. A person will be respecting, is dressed properly, is behaving properly. The moment he drinks alcohol, he starts doing things which are very shameful. He loses dignity. You lose your dignity. People, they do things to themselves that they regret later, but they cannot change it. Khalas, it's done. So Allah protects us from becoming lower than the beasts. Because when we lose our mind, we can do things that we can't. We lose our dignity when we behave like that. Yeah.
We can use also this question as an opportunity for us to speak about good things in Islam. So as you mentioned before, one of maqasid sharia is to protect the mind. So from this question, you can have an entrance to introduce better the Islam and talk about these maqasid sharia, which has very wonderful meanings of
excellent.
religion.
Absolutely true. This is excellent opportunity to talk about other things. So whenever they ask you a question, try to capitalize on that, to talk about other things which are good, to attract them to Islam. So these are all ways to promote the deen. Alhamdulillah, this is a good point that you brought up. Yes. Yes, Hisham. Hisham.
In fact, Quran has answered this question by saying that its evil is more than its benefits. So this is the main thing.
See, the prohibition of alcohol came in stages. So one of those stages was to mention that the good in it is outweighing, the evil outweighs the good in it. This was part of the process of tahrim. But eventually Allah said it's rich, leave it alone. So it started slowly. There are 4 different stages in prohibition of alcohol. So Allah used to give different arguments for a period of time until people were prepared. Then the final revelation came that's prohibited. So, as I said, Arabian society at that time was addicted to alcohol. It was like drinking water, it's common. But Allah slowly took them away from alcohol. First He told them it's like one of the things that is given us is like ayati, and we can make from the grapes and dates, wine and things, we can risk hasana. Then He said, there's good in it and evil in it. Then said, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تَقْرَبُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَأَنْتُمْ سُكَارَى حَتَّى تَعْلَمُوا مَا تَقُولُونَ. This is the 3rd stage. Don't come close to Salah until you know what you're saying. Now it became, time is restricted, because you cannot drink alcohol from Fajr till after Isha. Till Isha you have to, because Salah time is very low. You cannot, you'll be not in your mind. So that's why till after Salah till Isha, then they can drink between after Salah till Fajr. So the time is restricted. So you have less time. Then eventually Allah said, it's rich min amali shaitan, fajtanibu. So It came in stages. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His hikmah, He prohibited in gradual stages. Others it is from the beginning. Allah said, don't drink, nobody will be able to avoid it. They're already addicted to it. It had to be done in this way, with gradual, inshallah, stages. So at this point now, the final stage is prohibition. There's no, and we cannot say this. This we can tell them that there is good in it, we don't deny. Some this is good for your digestion, good for your health. But to say the evil outweighs the good. So you can mention that fact that yes, we don't deny there's some benefits in drinking alcohol sometimes, but they are minute compared to the evil that they commit.
And the question can be an alcoholist.
The what? An alcoholic person, yeah. The one who does what?
Who made the question?
Yeah, he could, doesn't matter. You see, if he's an alcoholic, this is a good chance for him to leave alcohol. You tell him there's a harm, a great harm. So don't harm yourself. See, some people, they know that what they're doing is wrong, but they have not got somebody to convince them it's wrong. You give them the Islamic arguments, inshallah, maybe you'll be guided to the right way. Yeah.
Sheikh, there is some people don't care about this. For example, when I see a non-Muslim smoking, I just for joking, and I tell him smoking killing. He tell me I know, and I tell him the problem is you know. The problem is not you smoking or something like that, but the problem is you know. So you kill yourself. And then I started to talk to him. And the last people, I talk to them and I ask them something like this, and I tell them what's the meaning of your life and something like this. They are husband and wife, daughter and friends. So like this they speaking, drink alcohol and make clothes like this and but in these times, real, I can't speaking nothing because I think these people they can thinking about everything and they don't know what the meaning of life and some like this.
Yes.
How I can.
What's the question now? Question.
Yes, the question is how to commit. Yes. Speak to these people.
See, the thing is that not everybody will be convinced about everything we say. See, no matter how good your arguments may be and logic is, if they don't want to follow, they don't want. See, don't expect everybody to accept what you give them. We do our best. The thing of Rasul, people knew he was truthful. You know, he's Sadiq. They call him Al-Amin, Sadiq Al-Amin. But when he came with the da'wah of Islam, he said, no, we don't want to believe. بل يريد الإنسان ليفجر أمامه يسأل أيان يوم القيامة. Some people, they don't want to follow because they don't want to leave the sins. They want to enjoy themselves. They would love to commit sins. This is like now part of their nature. They don't want to stop drinking alcohol or to stop smoking or to stop, though they know all the facts is bad for them. This is their way. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the freedom to choose. Because if you use your mind, you will not do something that harms you logically. Logically, people who are balanced, just a minute, those who are balanced, they will normally choose what is best for them. Like Umar bin Khattab, even the Yam Jahiliyyah, they know there's no benefit, this one says bad. Because it takes away your mind and it wastes your wealth. Any logical person will think like that. But some people, they don't think like that. They say, I want to enjoy myself, I don't care. Even though it harms me, what can we do? You're free. Do whatever you want. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gave us the wahi, He sent us the Quran, He gave us the teaching of the Prophet ﷺ. But He did not force us to follow. So man is free to do. فَإِن لَمْ تَسْتَحِيُوا فَاسْنَعُوا مَا شِئْتُمْ. If you don't have haya, do whatever you want. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, in the end, He is the judge. But as I said, you use hikmah, you tell them, look, I had an experience, you have seen somebody, I've seen somebody, he ended up in hospital, he had these big oxygen things with him. He cannot breathe, His lungs were all destroyed. Would you like to be in that situation? Where you cannot walk around except with these oxygen cylinders with you, with this big mask on your face? How do you like that? Give them something to scare them. So you show them a picture. There's some pictures on the net, shows you what happens to you when you smoke. Show you a picture of an accident because somebody is drunk. This will be more effective. Because they will get a shock. Oh my God, this is how I will be. Because now they don't think, especially the young, they say, who cares, you know. It's just they're saying these things. Some doctors even smoke. You have doctors who smoke. And they know smoking is bad. But just in the end, your job is to convey. يعني وما على الرسول إلى البلاغ المبين. As to whether they accept or not to accept, خلاص. This is between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you do your best, but don't expect everybody will accept whatever you say. Some may not. خلاص, you done your job. As long as you use hikmah, use your best arguments, use the best points, then give them alone.
But we have to know how to treat these objections, because life is a God. Many people in Europe and in America, his God is his life, his drugs, his God. He don't believe in.
I didn't understand. I mean, who is God? The person is God in himself.
No. He don't believe in anything. Just he believes in life. He wants drugs, alcohol, sex. That's what he wants. And when you will do da'wah to a Muslim, you will find so many persons like that. How can we treat this?
This case, you have to go to the God approach. Start from the first have to believe in God. The first stage is to make them believe in one God. Like Rasul Sallallahu was in Makkah for 13 years. He only got you to La ilaha illallah. Qulu la ilaha illallah tuflihu. Because if there's no basis for faith, there's no iman in Allah, there's no iman in akhirah, there's no point to telling that you have to do this because he'll go to Jahannam or because he'll go to Jannah. He doesn't care about Jannah, he doesn't believe in that. First step, convince them that life has to have a purpose. We do not come from nowhere. There has to be a cause. Everything has a cause and effect. We know this law of cause and effect. This universe has to have a creator because it didn't come by itself. Nothing can come from nothing. You know. You have to give them examples, you know, something, okay, phone, you have mobile phones, everything which has complexity, there has to be somebody who designed that. Could not have put itself together, all these elements came together and made something like that, it's impossible. So first convince them that there is a creator. And if you convince them, you have to make sure that there is only one creator, because there's a system in the universe, there's no contradiction. You don't see any chaos in the universe. There must be that everything is following one system, the smoothness, there is order, there is route, everything is going smooth. Day and night is changing naturally, planets are moving around in their orbit, precise orbits. We don't see any chaos. Because if there's no more than one God, there will be fawda. I say, if there's more than one God, you'll see a lot of chaos, contradiction. But you don't see that. That means there's only one creator. Like if you have in a company, more than one CEO, they'll be fighting each other. Yes. So this is clear. So give examples to prove that there must be one God, and this God has to communicate to us what is the will. So he sent people like prophets, he talked to us through the prophets, and they have told us about these things. So you can give them step by step to believe in God. If they accept that, then it will come next about the prophets, then the scripture, revelation. Then based on that, then you can convince them about the rules to follow. Because if you want to benefit yourself, to have a good life in the hereafter, you sacrifice something. You cannot just get to heaven on a free ticket. There's no free ticket. So even in this world, you want to get ahead in the work, in the business, you have to work hard. There's nothing like it comes just without doing any effort. You want to go to heaven without doing anything? You want without sacrificing anything? You want to pass in the exams in the school without studying? You cannot. You have to make effort. You have to study hard. So the same thing. You want to have a good future, happy life in this world and next. You have to obey Allah and His rule because He knows what's good for you, what's bad for you. So give them some convincing arguments. So you can use a logical approach or the Gorak approach for those kind of people who don't believe in anything. So that's what I'm saying. But people who have some faith, you have to give them examples, like in terms of what would be beneficial. It's prohibited in the scriptures. Jesus not drink alcohol, neither did the prophets before him. Prophet Muhammad prohibited it's the same rules, the same commandments that God has given us in the past and the present. So it's not something new. It's there in the scriptures, in the Old Testament, in the New Testament, in the Quran also. So you can tell them that this is a problem for societies. It's been an ancient problem that many people are suffering from. So since Islam came with the final revelation, God wants us to solve this problem. So He's giving us advice to avoid these problems by avoiding alcohol, which is the root cause of all these problems, like families breaking up, divorce, having because of alcoholism, women being abused by their husbands, children suffering, crimes in society, people committing bad things. So all this because of alcohol. So if you study all this problem, you find the root cause is alcohol. So that's why Islam prohibits this, because of its bad effects on the individual and the society as a whole. I think we have covered most of the points on this issue. What time is it? We have time for Salah now. So we'll stop here inshallah, and we'll continue after the prayers at 2 o'clock. Yeah? So we'll have lunch break and Salah break. We'll come back at 2 o'clock inshallah to continue this session inshallah.
How do you spell Gora?
Gora.
Gora
is. I have it in my folder. I'll give it to everybody in the. Just a minute. The Gorab approach. I have it on my program. I've made a folder for this program, for this course. I'll give it to everybody on the flash or on the CD after the course. So you have it for you. You can go in by it. It has the videos. It has a booklet. Everything there shows what is the Gorab approach. But in brief, it's written just like this. You have it's written as G-O-R-A-P. This is called Gorab. It says G-O-R-A-P. This stands for God, God's existence. God's existence. Okay? This stands for oneness. Oneness of God. This is for revelation, need for revelation. And this is for and prophets. So this is a step-by-step process of talking to the people who don't have faith. First you have to prove to them that there is a God. First step, you have to make them understand or believe that there must be God. There must be a creator of this universe. We did not come from nowhere. Okay? Sorry for the sisters. Okay, I repeat again. The GORAP stands for, it's an acronym. It's like a short, like AT&T, you have GORAP. This G stands for God's existence. So the first step in talking to a non-Muslim according to this methodology is to prove to them that there is a God. That God has to exist. Because this universe exists and we exist, and there must be some cause. It didn't come by itself. We all know logically nothing comes from nothing. So there must be somebody who has created us. أَخُلِقُ مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ. So Allah proves that there must be somebody who is created. So we know that God exists. Then you have to prove to them that there's only one God. Because some people, they believe there's God, but not one. There are many gods. 3 gods, hundreds of gods, thousands of gods. There are so many gods, male and female also. In Hinduism we have millions of gods. There are 30 million gods. Okay? So you have to prove there's only one God. So there's only one system in the universe. So sure there must be one creator, creator for this universe. Then you have to explain there is a need for revelation. If God exists, He must be able to communicate to us. Why did He create us? We have to know what is His will. So He must be able to communicate. So there must be revelation. How can we communicate with Him since we don't know how to deal with Him, cannot talk to Him or see Him? He has to send us a message to tell us why He created us, why He created this universe. So there's a need for revelation for us to understand what is our role here on this planet. So that's why we have revelation. So you can mention that God has sent messages throughout history through prophets. So He doesn't talk to each one, everyone. He selects some people among the humanity to talk to them or reveal to them His will, and they convey it to us. These are the prophets. So you can mention some names of the prophets like Jesus, Moses, Abraham, and Prophet. So you can say, this is the approach which they are using, and I think it's Brother Rahim Green from UK, they call I-ERA. They have developed this approach. It's a very simple approach, and I have it all in my laptop. I'll give it to you inshallah before I leave, when we end the training program. You can study it on your own. They have videos also, explaining each of those procedures, how to do it, and what is the purpose of saying this. So it's a nice approach. But this works mostly people don't have faith. That's why. But people who have faith, you use the HMT approach is better. So you need to have at least both to handle the situation. You need to have both. Because atheists, you talk to them about the Bible and Quran and Wahi. They don't believe in Wahi. So you have to use this logical approach. So that clarifies. Let's go for the break. And please be back on time. 2 o'clock we'll start again, inshallah. But this will be the, after this we have a comparative religion. So today we'll only stop here. Inshallah we'll continue tomorrow morning. 8:30 we'll continue with the misconception. Jazakumullah khair.
Thank you.